All right, let's jump right in. Today we're going deep on telecom billing, but with a twist. We're looking at it from the service provider side this time. All the work that goes into making that bill you get every month.
Yeah, it's definitely more than meets the eye. Most people don't give it a second thought. But there's a whole lot that goes into tracking and billing for, all the services we use these days, from making calls to using tons of data. It's a lot to keep track of.
And to help us break it all down, we've got some great material. We're looking at excerpts from how telecom billing solutions work and how is telecom billing done. Here's the process.
Oh, and one of them is actually from TimelyBill, a company that makes, billing software for telecoms. So we're getting right into the nuts and bolts here.
Perfect. Let's get into it then. What's the big takeaway? What's the main thing these articles tell us about this whole process?
So the main thing both sources emphasize is this. Telecom billing is a whole journey, not just a destination, right? It's not like just adding up some numbers.
Okay, so walk me through it. Where does this journey begin?
It all starts with gathering the data, all of it. Every call, text, all the data you use, everything. But it's not just about collecting the numbers.
What else is there?
You have to figure out what type of usage each piece of data represents. Like, was it a call, a text, a video stream? What was it? It's like sorting your ingredients before you can start cooking.
So even sending a quick text message is part of this massive data sorting operation.
Absolutely. Every action needs to be categorized before the system can even start calculating charges.
Okay, so we've got all this data, and it's all neatly categorized. What happens next? How do they figure out how much to charge for everything?
That's where things get interesting. It's called call rating, and it's the core of the billing process. It's where each call, data session, you name it, gets its price tag.
So I guess it's more than just saying, okay, a call costs a certain amount per minute.
Way more. It's about considering a whole bunch of factors like the time of day, where the call was made, how long it lasted, and even the specific plan the customer has.
So it's like a giant equation with all these variables.
Exactly. And to manage all that complexity, telecoms rely on something called rate deck. Think of it like a massive lookup table with rules and formulas for how to price every possible type of usage.
Okay, I'm starting to see how complicated this gets. So each call goes up against this rate deck, and that's how they figure out the cost.
Pretty much. And remember, this is all happening super fast, often in real time. We're talking millions of calls and data sessions being rated every single minute.
It's amazing how all this happens without us even noticing.
Yeah.
But I guess all this number crunching has to lead somewhere. It all ends up on the invoice, right?
Right, and that invoice is more than just a bill. From the provider's perspective, it's how they communicate with the customer, showing them what they're getting for their money.
Ah, so there's strategy involved too.
Definitely. A clear and detailed invoice can build trust and keep customers happy.
So what are the ingredients of a good invoice? What should these companies be aiming for?
It's all about finding the right balance. It needs to have all the important details, but also be easy for the customer to understand. A clear summary of the charges, a breakdown of usage by service type, and explanations for any fees.
So no more mystery charges on the bill?
Exactly. Transparency is key, especially when you consider everything that goes into creating that invoice. All the data, the calculations. It's a complicated process.
Absolutely. It's fascinating to see how that data travels, from the moment you use your phone all the way to the bill.
Mm-hmm.
But the journey doesn't stop there, right?
Oh.
What happens after that invoice goes out into the world?
Well, that's where the whole payment process comes in, and that's something we'll dig into in the next part of our deep dive. So we're back, still diving deep into the fascinating world of telecom billing.
And last time, if you recall, we left off with that all-important invoice making its way to the customer.
Right, but, sending out the bill, that's just one step. There's a whole other system on the provider's side for, processing the payments and managing the customer accounts.
I guess it's more than just, here's your bill, pay us.
Oh, much more. And this is where it gets even more complex for these telecom companies.
What makes it so complicated?
Well, think about it. Unlike a lot of other industries, telecom billing isn't about one-time payments.
Yeah. We're talking about monthly bills, subscriptions, all that.
Right. It's all about those recurring payments, managing all those subscriptions, and handling changes to those subscriptions. People upgrade, downgrade. It's constantly changing.
So it's not as simple as just, processing a credit card payment and being done with it.
Not even close. Telecom providers, they need systems to keep track of every payment, apply credits, adjustments, and even handle the not-so-fun stuff like late payments and, collections.
Whoa. That sounds like a massive headache.
Yeah.
How do they even keep up with all that, especially with millions of customers?
Well, that's where technology comes in, right? Sophisticated billing software. These platforms are designed to automate a lot of the tasks involved in processing payments and managing all those accounts.
So it's all about streamlining things on the back end.
Exactly. Automation, it helps reduce errors, makes everything more efficient, and ultimately, provides a better experience for the customer.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But I imagine there are still situations where you need a human touch, even with all the automation.
Of course. Things like billing disputes, requests for refunds, that kind of stuff. Sometimes you just need a real person to get involved.
So they need to find that balance between automation and good old-fashioned human oversight.
Absolutely. The ideal system, it can handle the routine tasks efficiently, but it also allows for flexibility and personalized service when it's needed.
Yeah, finding that sweet spot seems crucial, especially in a competitive industry like this.
Couldn't agree more. And it's not just about managing existing customers either. They need to be able to bring new customers on board quickly and easily.
Yeah, nobody wants to wait around forever to get their internet or phone service set up.
Right, so these billing systems also play a big role in the whole order fulfillment process. Verifying customer information, activating new services, the whole 9 yards.
It sounds like these billing platforms are like the central nervous system of a telecom company.
Great analogy. It's so much more than just generating invoices. They're really the backbone of the entire customer relationship, from the moment they sign up to, well, every payment and everything in between.
We've talked a lot about the technical side of billing, but what about the customer experience? How do all these advancements actually affect how the telecom provider interacts with their customers?
That's a great question. And that's what we'll be exploring in the final part of our deep dive. Stick around to find out how all this is shaping the future of telecom.
All right, welcome back. We're wrapping up our deep dive into the world of telecom billing today.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground, haven't we? From gathering all that usage data to, all the ins and outs of how payments are processed.
It's pretty amazing how much goes on behind the scenes, just to make sure we can make calls and browse the internet and get those bills every month.
Right, it's a whole hidden world. But, we've talked about the technical stuff, all the nuts and bolts, but what does it all mean for the customer? How do all these fancy billing systems actually affect the relationship between the telecom company and the people using their services?
That's the big question, isn't it? After all, keeping customers happy is key for any business.
Absolutely. And I think one of the biggest impacts of these systems is on how telecom providers communicate with their customers. We talked about the importance of clear invoices, but it goes way beyond that.
So it's not just about making the bill easy to read. There's more to it.
Right. With these modern systems, telecom companies can actually be much more proactive and personalized in how they communicate.
Can you give me an example of what you mean?
Sure. Think about those usage alerts you get. Like if you're getting close to your data limit for the month. Instead of getting a huge bill shock, the system can automatically send you a message, a text or email, letting you know you're getting close.
Yeah, that's a great way to avoid those unpleasant surprises. And it gives you a chance to change your usage or upgrade your plan before you go over.
Exactly. And it's all thanks to those super smart billing platforms that are always, crunching the numbers and keeping tabs on everyone's accounts.
It's almost like having your own personal telecom assistant, making sure you're staying on track.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And it's not just about usage alerts. This kind of personalized approach can be used in other ways, too. These systems, they can analyze your data to figure out your patterns and preferences.
So they can see what services I use most, how much I spend, even when I'm most likely to make calls or use data.
Exactly. And with all that information, the telecom company can then tailor their services and their communications to better fit each customer's needs.
So it's all about creating a more personalized, more relevant experience.
You got it. And that's how you build those strong, lasting relationships with customers. When people feel like they're understood, like the company's paying attention to them, they're more likely to stick around.
Yeah, that makes sense. Nobody wants to feel like they're just a number on a spreadsheet.
Exactly. And these advancements in billing technology, they're helping telecom companies move away from that, impersonal, one-size-fits-all approach.
It's all about putting the human touch back into a really technical industry.
Right. And, as this technology keeps getting better and better, who knows what's next? I bet we'll see even more innovative ways for these companies to connect with their customers and build those strong relationships.
Well, I don't know about you, but this deep dive has definitely given me a whole new perspective on the world of telecom billing. It's so much more than just sending out invoices.
For sure. It's about managing data, communicating with customers, and ultimately building a successful business.
And for everyone listening out there, I hope you've learned something new as well. The next time you see that monthly bill, remember everything that went into it, all the steps along the way. There's a whole system working hard behind the scenes, you know, making sure you can stay connected and informed.
Absolutely. It's pretty fascinating when you think about it.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. See you next time.